All right, guys, we are back again today with our last lesson for this week in our packet. We're going to continue with the using charts and graphs lesson. We have a few more pages of the packet, and that will be our last lesson for this packet. So this page is all about climagraphs. So it says, understanding climagraphs. A climagraph combines a bar graph and a line graph to show the average monthly temperature and average monthly precipitation for a place. Precipitation is water falling from the sky in the form of rain, sleet, hail, or snow. The climagraph shows the average monthly rainfall line and temperature bars for Washington, D.C. Study the graph and answer the questions. So first we need to study the graph. So let's do that first before we start in on the questions. The title says Climagraph, Washington, D.C. So we know that this all is taking place in Washington, D.C. And then we have two vertical axes here. On this side, we have the average monthly precipitation in inches. So it tells us in inches how much rainfall there was, or water from the sky, whether that be rain, sleet, hail, or snow. And then we have the average monthly temperature, starting from 0, going all the way to 100. And if we look in the legend here, it's actually showing us that the line part of the graph is the average monthly precipitation, and the bar part of the graph is the average monthly temperature. Without this key, we might be going, okay, but which one is which? What does the line show and what do the bars show? That's why it's important for these types of climagraphs and charts to have legends to show us which is which. So number 1 says, what do the numbers on the left tell you? So this is the left, this is the right. So the numbers on the left tell us, it tells us exactly right here, the average monthly precipitation in inches. Average monthly precipitation in inches. Okay. Number 2, what do the numbers on the right tell you? On the right, we're looking at average monthly temperature in Fahrenheit. So average monthly temperature, and then I'm going to put Fahrenheit in parentheses. Okay, number 3, which is the warmest month in Washington, D.C.? Look at the bars, it tells us. The reason why it wants us to look at the bars is because the bars are the monthly temperature. The line, the dot, is the monthly precipitation. So we're not looking at the highest dot, we're looking at the tallest bar to see which one is the warmest month. So let's take a look here. The tallest bar is going to be this one here, which is July, and it's just above 80 degrees. So if I had to guess, I would probably say 81 degrees, but compared to all the other bars, this one is the tallest. So the warmest month is July, right in the middle of the summertime. And which is the coldest month? To find out the coldest month, we need to look at the shortest bar, because the lower the bar is, the colder it is according to the graph. So let's see here. This one right here is just above 1.5 or 1.5, and I don't see anything else that's shorter than that. So January is the coldest month. How much rain falls in August? Now that we're looking at rainfall, are we looking at the bars or the line graph? Sorry, that was my washing machine. We need to be looking at the line graph because that's the precipitation. That's the rain. Okay, so how much rain falls in August? Let's look at August. We're looking at the line graph, and the dot is right on this line here. 80 degrees? No, we're not looking for the temperature. 4. 4 what? 4 inches according to the side. So 4 inches. And I put 4.0 just because that's how it's written on the chart. And 6, which season is the wettest? Okay, now this is an interesting question. Which season is the wettest? We have winter, spring, summer, and fall. So we have to see which season is the wettest. Well, again, that's going to be the line graph because that's precipitation. So we have to look at where are the dots the highest on this graph. And it looks like July and August are our highest points on the graph. Now, what season would that be? It would be summer. July and August are the highest points, and those two are in the summertime. So it looks like the summer is the wettest season. All right, next page. Understanding flowcharts. A flowchart shows you the sequence or order of steps in a process. Flowcharts usually have arrows to show which step comes next. Always read the titles or labels that explain each step. Then follow the direction of the arrows. They tell you the correct sequence of the steps. So let's take a look at this. This is called How a Bill Becomes a Law. And you can see that this flowchart has arrows. The arrows tell you which step comes next. So we have, it goes here, here, then it goes all the way up to here, down, and down. So it says idea for law. Bill is introduced in House or Senate. Bill is discussed in committees. House and Senate pass the bill. If the president agrees with the bill, he signs it. Bill becomes a law. So let's take a look at the questions. What is the subject of this flowchart? Well, I know what the subject is because there's a title. How a bill becomes a law. That's what this flowchart's all about. How a bill becomes a law. Number 2, what happens to the bill after it is introduced? Well, let's take a look. Idea for law. Bill is introduced in the House or Senate. Okay, so there it is. It's introduced. And it's asking what happens after it's introduced. Bill is discussed in committees. That's the very next step. Bill is discussed in committees. After the House and Senate pass the bill, where does it go? House and Senate pass the bill, so here we are. If the president agrees with the bill, he signs it. So let's think. After the House and Senate pass the bill, where does it go? It goes to the president, and he decides if he agrees with it or disagrees with it. It goes to the president. And we know all this just from this flowchart. Pretty cool, huh? All right, next. Make a flowchart. Some decisions are easier to make than others. What movie or DVD game should you rent? That's not a very hard decision to make. Other decisions are harder. You may have to vote for a class president. Which candidate is better? Imagine that your school might vote on adding more recycling areas around your school. Is it a good idea? How do you decide? Problem solving and decision making skills help you make better choices. These skills use steps. Number 1, you must identify the problem. Number 2, you need to gather information about the problem. Number 3, study the information you have gathered. It may tell you something about solving the problem. Number 4, think about options or choices. Think of as many ways as you can to solve the problem. 5, choose one of the solutions you think will best solve the problem. 6, take action. Make a plan to carry out your solution. Number 7, review the results of your solution. Does it work? Do you need to change your plan so that you get better results? Turning this information into a flowchart will make it easier to understand. The first step is done for you. So there are 7 steps, they said, to decision making and solving problems. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. So we have to put each step in a box. You can shorten the way it's written. You don't have to write it in full and complete sentences because this is just a flow chart. So it doesn't have to be in complete sentences like this. Identify the problem. This says you must identify the problem, so they shortened it. So number 2, you need to gather information about the problem. So I'm going to write gather info, to make it shorter, about the problem. Gather info about the problem. I'm going to go ahead and cross these out as we do them so we don't repeat. Number 3, study the information you have gathered. It may tell you something about solving the problem. So let's just shorten that by saying study the information. We don't want these to be too long or wordy. It has to be easy to follow. Number 4, think about options or choices. Think of as many ways as you can to solve the problem. Okay, so let's say, think of many ways to solve the problem. That didn't exactly fit, but that's okay. Choose one of the solutions you think will best solve the problem. Choose the best solution. Number 6, take action. Make a plan to carry out your solution. So, make a plan to carry out solution. And last but not least, review the results of your solution. Review your results. And ladies and gentlemen, we just made a flowchart. Identify the problem, gather info about the problem, study the information, think of many ways to solve the problem, choose the best solution, make a plan to carry out the solution, and review your results. Okay, next, understand circle graphs. A circle graph shows you how a whole is divided into parts called sectors. Circle graphs are also called pie graphs because the graph looks like pie. Each sector or slice of pie is written as a percentage. These numbers in the circle graph add up to 100%. Remember that whole means 100%. Study the legend. This box tells you about what the colors stand for. In this graph, each type of energy used is shown in a different color. So this is gray, so it's not going to be super easy to read the colors here, but I can do it based on how light it is. And it looks like the 52% is the home heating, because that's the lightest color. So let's go ahead, write the amount of energy used by each sector, then add up all the sectors or slices in the circle graph. So the home heating, since that's the lightest, I believe that's, this one right here is home heating because it's the lightest. So that's 52%. It looks to me like the darkest one is going to be cooking and refrigeration. So I'm going to say that's 11%, cooking and refrigeration. The next one to me looks like air conditioning. Let's see. Air conditioning looks to me like it's going to be the 8%, possibly. We're going to roll with it because it's kind of hard to see. The water heating is a light color, so I believe that's the 18%. 18%. And all other uses looks like it's going to be another 11%. So if you saw these colors differently, go for it. That's just kind of how I interpreted the colors. So we have to add these up. So 52 plus 8 is 60. 60 plus 11 is 71. 71 plus 18 is 89. And 89 plus 11 is 100. We knew that was going to add up to 100% because the whole, remember, is 100%. Has to add up to 100%. If your pie chart doesn't add up to 100%, something's not right. What type of household purpose or function uses the most energy? Well, it looks to me that home heating, it's 52%. It's by far the biggest one, so it uses the most energy. How much energy is used by a typical household for air conditioning? Now remember, we already looked, 8% air conditioning, 8%. Does home heating or water heating use more energy? Water heating shows 18%, home heating shows 52%. So definitely home heating. Think about the different things in your home that use energy. List 4 appliances in your home that might be included in all other uses. Let's think. What about the washer and dryer? Those probably use a lot of energy. Let me think. What about dishwasher? I'm assuming that uses a lot of energy. And what about electricity? The lights. That uses energy. Those are just a few examples. I'm sure you can come up with many more. But those are just a few things I could think of that use energy. Okay, next page. Understand timelines. A timeline is a type of flowchart. It shows events in the order in which they happened. This type of graph helps you understand and remember the sequence or time order of events. Always read the title of the timeline. Then read the dates at the beginning and end of the timeline. These dates tell the period of history that is covered. So we have the United States becomes an industrial nation, We have the years here, 1790 all the way to 1890. And then we have the different events. And you'll notice there are little lines pointing to where on the timeline, or I should say when rather, on the timeline they take place. Read the title and the first and last date on the timeline. We did that. What do you think this timeline is about? Write another title for the timeline. Okay, another title, tricky. So we read the title. United States becomes an industrial nation. Started in 1790. The first factory opens up in U.S. A spinning mill. And then 1890, Jane Addams founds Hull House. Okay, so how about, and a lot of these things here, we have a steamboat, locomotive, machinery, telegraph, the sewing machine, Standard Oil, steel making, electric light. So I think another title could possibly be major technology advancements, because all of this is considered technology. We think of technology today as being iPads and iPhones and computers, but technology is all of these things. So major technology advances. Technically, it'd be technological advances, probably, and this is a title, so I'm going to go ahead and capitalize my T here. Okay. Number 2, how many years does this timeline span? So it goes from 1790 to 1890. What's 1890 take away 1790? 100. So the answer is 100 years. It's 100 years from 1790 to 1890. Number 3, how many years after the steamboat made its first voyage was the first locomotive built? So let's take a look. The steamboat makes its first voyage in 1807. Okay, 1807. The first locomotive built, okay, 1830. We have 1830. So it's asking how many years after. Okay, so I can count up to 10. That makes 3, because 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 10 to 20 is 10, and 20 to 30 is 10. So 10, 20, plus the 3, that makes 23. So 23 years. Number 4, when did Samuel Morse patent the telegraph? Okay, well, let's take a look. There it is right there. Samuel Morse patents telegraph. And what year does it say? 1841. Number 5, in 1879, Edison invented the electric light. How does this invention help you in your life today? Wow, can you imagine what life would be like without light? Light bulbs, electric light. We wouldn't be able to get ready in the mornings for school. We wouldn't be able to see in our houses. We'd have to light candles and open the windows during the daytime. So this helps us a ton. We are able to see very easily, day and night, with light bulbs. Okay, and this is the last page. Make a timeline. Timelines can be horizontal, left to right, or vertical, top to bottom. Use the blank timeline below to show events that happened in your life last week. Start the timeline with last Monday, then add the other days of the week. Add events that happened during the week. Did you go to a movie? Did you have a test or a quiz? A timeline is a good way to keep track of events. Well, I'm pretty sure no one went to a movie last week, and pretty sure no one had a test or a quiz. But since we've been staying at our homes, go ahead, I want you guys to fill out this timeline of how you've been spending your time. This will be a great way to reflect and think, okay, have I been spending too much of my time on video games or watching TV? Maybe I should go outside, do something creative, read a book. This will be a great way to reflect on that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this blank because I want you guys to fill this out and take a look at it when you're done filling it out and do a little bit of reflection. Okay? Thank you guys for joining me today for today's video, and I will see you later. Goodbye.